Hey friends, Josh Koerner here, and today I want to bring to you my top tips, my quick tips for upping your editing game in Premiere Pro. There's often a lot of hullabaloo and fuss over really sweet transitions, right? And my bias is towards trying to get all those transitions right in camera. So, the nice little covering the lens, putting the lens cap on maybe, the spin. There's a lot of really cool ones like that, but what Premiere is great for is making your own transitions. And while you could use software like After Effects to make a Sam Colder-esque transition, there's also a lot of ways that you could transition between clip A and clip B by just making your own in Premiere. My second quick tip is to use adjustment layers, and there's a couple reasons for that. The first, you'll improve the performance of your computer through that editing process if you use adjustment layers, as opposed to laying those color palette changes onto the actual footage. The other one is that it's a lot easier to grade clips in multiple sequences or multiple clips at a time with a single adjustment layer, as opposed to copying and pasting the attributes. The third quick tip for Premiere is to use the hotkeys. I find that hotkeys radically improve how quickly I can edit in Premiere. The ones that I use most commonly are the ones for trimming and regular selecting all, but there are other ones for your speed editor or for audio gain. So I would really highly recommend diving deep into those hotkeys and trying to find ways to use hotkeys for commands that you use frequently or for input that you do frequently. My fourth tip is how to fake slow-mo. And now for a situation where it's talking head like this, optical flow is going to be a great way to do that. Optical flow is going to be a great way to do that. If you have an object moving through a frame, it's very likely that you could have artifacting that could kind of ruin the feel of it. However, when it's kind of a more isolated subject like this, it's a lot easier for Premiere to put that middle frame in if you're shooting at something like 24p in the first place. Additionally, a great little tip for using optical flow is to select it from your speed panel. So when you either hit Control R for your speed or right click speed and duration and change from 100% to say 50 if you've shot in 24p and you want it to be 48 or whatever. What you can do then is within that menu you type in 50%, and then you come down to right below that there's your time interpolation thing, and if you just go down from there and select optical flow, that'll work out really quick and you won't have to reselect it from the right click menu into time interpolation into optical flow later on. Then what you'll need to do is select that clip, go to sequence, and then render selection, and that will give you your slow motion. My final tip is on upsampling and downsampling. I'm asked all the time, how do you upsample footage? How do you downsample footage? And there's a really easy way to do that. I'm going to assume that your sequence is at 1080p and you have a bunch of 1080p clips and you have some 4K clips in there too. And you're trying to figure out how to downsample from 4K to 1080. You can quite simply go into the effects panel and, for scale, hit 50%, and that'll bring it down to 1080. Now, the other way you can do it is if you're shooting in 4K and you want to end up with 1080 is just to edit everything in 4K and then export in 1080. Or if you shot most of your clips in 4K and some are in 1080, what I would recommend then is upsampling from 1080 to 4K. Finally, if you want to downsample the entire sequence and you didn't build it with your 1080p clips first, if say you accidentally put your 4K clips in first, what you'll need to do is this. You need to go to your sequence tab up at the top and then to sequence settings. And then down below there will be two boxes for your resolution. And then you just type in 1920 by 1080. And then when you go back into your sequence, you'll notice that several of your files are now either way zoomed in or way zoomed out or whatever. And what you got to do is go into your effects panel, like I mentioned earlier, and change the scale on those. And that'll fix your downsampling really quickly. So yeah, I really appreciate that you've spent your time today with me on this video. Please smash that like button and subscribe. It means a lot to me. I really appreciate your time and your attention with me today, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next one.